Hello and welcome to FPL Mate, your best mate for World Cup fantasy content. My name is Dan and happy World Cup day to every single one of you guys. I'm still not at home, that doesn't mean we cannot keep the content grind. I want to show you my final team before I do the deadline stream. I think this is going to be very, very close to what I'm going to roll with for the World Cup fantasy tournament. So guys, if you do enjoy this one, please do leave a like, please do subscribe if you're new around here. But let's show you what I'm thinking of my team, and we're going to clarify some of the rules and strategies we can use because of those rules as well in this video. So guys, with this team, I have spent all of my money. Let's just get straight into it. Let's start off with the goalkeeper. And the goalkeeper is going to be Al-Sheeb of Qatar. So, Qatar play in the opening fixture of the tournament, and I'm quite excited to see, can they live up to the hype of this tournament? Can they actually do it? Can they keep a clean sheet? Can they do something? We know Ecuador are a team that don't score too many goals, so I think for a 4 million goalkeeper, it's not a bad shout really. And the great thing about Al-Sheeb is because he is in that first fixture, we've got unlimited transfers before Matchday 1 kicks off. So if Al-Sheeb is not starting and the other goalkeeper who sometimes plays for Qatar, Barsham, if he plays, then we can make that switch before deadline. We'll have enough time. We'll have the information of the early team news there as well. So yeah, I think he's an okay punt as a, starting goalkeeper, and then we'll go to the bench goalkeeper if this one doesn't work out. In defense, we've got 4 men to start us off. We've got Estupiñán also playing in that opening fixture. Just like Ecuador can't score many goals, we also do know that Ecuador don't concede many goals. They've been fantastic defensively, and I have been hyping up the Ecuadorian defense a little bit during the kind of period before the World Cup. So we're definitely going to try and roll with an Ecuadorian defender, and why not go for our good friend from the Premier League, from Brighton, Estupiñán. So Estupiñán might be on some of these set pieces as well. We know he's a reasonably attacking left back who has that ability to get attacking returns. If anyone's going to get some attacking returns from Ecuador, maybe Estupiñán can provide the assists for that one. So he's a very good player, one of their better players in fact. He comes in at 4.5 million, which I think is a good price, and again, a good opening fixture against a weaker team in the tournament. Both these teams, to be fair, in the opening day are fairly weak in attack and maybe not too bad in defense. So let's see what they can do. Can we get a nice 0-0 to start us off? That's the hope. We've got Kieran Trippier up next. I think he is going to start ahead of Trent Alexander-Arnold. I also feel like even if Trent is playing, Trippier will just simply move to the left, and that will mean that Trippier is going to be playing in an advanced wing-back position for England. And not only is he going to be in those advanced positions, hopefully taking his form from the Premier League into the World Cup, but he's also going to be on these set pieces. He's going to be on corners, he's going to be on free kicks, and he's going to be delivering those balls, and he's going to have the opportunity to score goals as well. So lots of good things to watch out for from Trippier. We've got Merla here as well. Merla from Denmark, a 4.5 million defender who is the best value player probably in the entire game, if I'm totally honest. So he's a super attacking wing back who cuts in from the left-hand side onto his right foot, basically playing as a winger, essentially, taking a lot of shots on, making passes, and he will be scoring goals, which is what we want in this game. Defenders get so many points for goals compared to assists. 3 points for assists, like 7 points for a goal for a defender. It really is very important that we go for these goal scoring defenders like Trippier, who can score some goals, Merla can score some goals, and finally we've got Sosa as well, who is the left back for Croatia. I'm not 100% sure if he's going to be ready to start this game because he has had some injury problems. If he is available, he is going to start this game. He was on the bench for Croatia's friendly just a day or so ago, so I think that's pretty positive news, and I think he is going to be ready to go for this opening game against Morocco. 3.5 million defender who is starting and playing in the fullback position. What could go wrong? It's a fantastic shout if you don't want to spend too much money on the defense. And I do think it's more important to spend more money in the attacking positions because midfielders and forwards have so many more avenues of getting points. Not only do they have goals and assists just like defenders, but they don't lose points for conceding goals so harshly like defenders do in this game, but they also get points for making tackles and creating key chances and taking shots on. So I feel like the value really needs to be, your money should be put into the midfield and attack. So let's have a look at the midfield. So we'll start you off with Di Maria playing against Saudi Arabia. So probably out of all of the fixtures in the opening match day, we do feel like Argentina's chances against Saudi Arabia are very good. If we're going to try and pick out 1 or 2 games that there's going to be a lot of goals, those high scoring games where we can really take advantage with some fantasy assets, then you would say that Argentina against Saudi Arabia Sarabia is exactly that. So Di Maria comes in at 8.5 million. He's listed as a midfielder, but he's going to be playing very advanced as a right winger for Argentina, and he's also going to be on some set pieces as well, which is quite nice to see. So he's going to be able to create key chances for his teammates, pick up points that way, but we also expect him to get goals and assists. His international form has been reasonably impressive. If you look over his recent games, he has been getting goals, he has been getting assists for Argentina, so all good. Skjal Olsen is next. He plays against Tunisia, and I do like these Denmark players quite a lot. And Skjal Olsen is a player who is very good value for money. He is one of their better attackers. He plays as a right winger. He scores a lot of goals and gets the odd assist for Denmark in his playtime. He's just one of their better players, and he comes in at a really cheap price, and I do believe he is the best 6 million midfielder in the whole game because he's playing as an attacker. He is a player who gets goals. He is one of the key players in that attack, and it's a fixture against Tunisia. It's not too bad, and we know that Denmark are a very good side as well, so let's see what they can do. We've got Sarabia against Costa Rica, so again, a really nice fixture for Spain, and it's sometimes difficult to figure out which kind of Spain attacker to go for. Now, Sarabia is the player I would like to go for. I know a lot of people will probably say, is Sarabia really Spain's best attacker? And you'd be fair in saying that. If you follow a lot of club football, for example, you'll know that Sarabia is not a big deal, really, in terms of club football compared to some of the other Spain attackers. But on international level, Sarabia is very nailed on. He plays every single game for Spain, and he performs very well for Spain as well. I think he just fits the Spanish system perhaps quite well. He's a bit of a differential as well. I don't think many people have a lot of trust in Sarabia because they don't know his reputation at international level. So what I love about World Cup Fantasy is we can go for these slightly different players who we know perform very well at international level that maybe not everyone kind of knows about and understands. So yeah, if Sarabia puts up any kind of a performance similar that he did in the Euros a couple of years ago, well, only a year and a half ago, then surely he is going to do very, very well indeed. So looking forward to that, having Sarabia as a differential, playing for Spain against a very weak Costa Rica team who are going to be one of the weaker teams of the tournament. And finally, we've got De Bruyne against Canada. Again, I'm sorry Canadians, I'm sorry Costa Ricans, I'm sorry to everyone who I'm every country I'm kind of digging out as a weaker nation, but there are going to be weaker nations. There will be surprises in this tournament, don't get me wrong, but looking at the odds, we do know that Canada are likely to concede quite a few goals. And the great thing about De Bruyne playing in midfield is he is going to pick up those key pass points because he is the creator of the team, the sole hub of the team, who's going to be creating so many chances for his opportunities for his teammates. So he's going to pick up key pass points very, very quickly and very, very easily. You know, you get a point every time you get 2 key passes. The passes only need to lead to a shot, whether that's a corner, whether that's just passing through. The shot doesn't even need to be on target. It could be a terrible shot, but De Bruyne is going to be creating those chances. And that's before we even talk about the assists and the goals that we know he has in his locker. He's going to be on set pieces. There's possibility that he's on penalties as well with Lukaku out. We don't know for sure. It may be Eden Hazard if he's playing, but the third choice penalty taker is probably going to be De Bruyne. So depending on who's on the pitch at any given time, we could see some penalties from him as well. So lots to like about De Bruyne. Finally, up front, we are doubling up on the Argentina attack. So I've decided I want to go all in on this fixture. I really like this fixture, and I can see there's a lot of Argentinian players with really good value. Messi at 10.5 million, for example, fantastic value. He's the most popular player in the game for a very, very good reason, and that is because he is just so, he's just so good. He is the key and the star of this Argentina team. He is on all set pieces, corners, free kicks, penalties, everything pretty much. Di Maria may get involved in some of the indirect set pieces, I suppose, as well. But Messi is also, a major creator in the team. He is going to be taking the most shots. The ball is always going to be at his feet. He is going to be doing very well in the group stages because we know Messi, he's fine in the group stages. Maybe history tells us that when we get to the knockout stages, maybe Messi is not the one. But certainly in these kind of fixtures, like against Saudi Arabia, Messi is going to make a big, big impact. All of the odds are saying that Messi has the highest chance of any player in the whole of the World Cup, the highest chance of scoring in this opening winning match day 1. So he's the bookie's favourite, really, to score in match day 1. I would not be surprised if he got 1, 2, maybe even 3 goals, maybe add an assist in there. He could be a phenomenally scoring player. And we're going to finish off with Lautaro Martinez, who is I think he's a fairly well-priced forward. Now, the one concern I do have about Martinez is the possibility that maybe, just maybe, he is not going to be starting in this game, because there is also Julian Alvarez who could play as the striker for Argentina. But Martinez has surely got to be favoured, and you probably, if you had to put a bet on, you maybe say Martinez, but I am open to changing that if information comes my way and things change. For example, I don't mind switching Martinez to Griezmann maybe, especially if Benzema is not going to be playing. We know Nkunku is not available. That's going to allow Griezmann to come into that France team. Well, he's already always in that France team, but certainly he'll be more nailed on in that team. So yeah, Martinez to Griezmann is a possibility. Remember, guys, in this World Cup fantasy game, you can actually make 2 transfers whilst games are playing. As long as you are transferring out a player who hasn't kicked off yet for another player who hasn't kicked off yet, you find out team news. Argentina, you've got the Argentina team news. Martinez is not starting. You still have that opportunity to make a switch there. And I would need to find 0.5 million, but I think that'll be very, very possible. So yeah, something to remember, guys. You can go for 1, maybe 2 risky players, so you're not certain about starting, because you are going to have 2 free transfers to use during match day 1, as long as you're swapping out players who haven't played for more players who haven't played. But they can't have already played, and it does even after the other games have kicked off. As long as their game hasn't kicked off, that's absolutely fine. But yeah, Martinez, another player who's going to be scoring goals for Argentina, especially in these easier fixtures, picking up points for shots on target as well. Everything is looking very good there. Onto the bench, guys. We have got Costa as our backup goalkeeper. Now, remember another rule, guys, about this World Cup fantasy game, which makes it so unique and so interactive, is that we can swap out players for players on our bench. So if one of our starting players, even if they've played, if they get a low score and you're not happy with their low score, you can actually tag them out for one of your bench options. Once you've made that switch is final. You do lose. Whoever you take off from your starting 11, their points are gone forever. But what we're doing here is we're putting all of the players that I have, and you can see a couple of good players on this bench. We're putting our players who play later on in the match day. So you can see on screen the players on the starting 11. They're playing on the 20th, the 21st, the 22nd, and the 23rd. All of my bench players are all playing on the 24th of November. Therefore, I have that opportunity to bring those bench players into the starting 11, because they're the last players to play. You can switch out players who have played for other players, as long as the players who you're bringing on haven't played yet. I know it's getting kind of complicated now, guys, but a great tactic is to put those players on your bench. So that's what we've done. So Costa, he's the main goalkeeper really in this team. We're trying to be a little bit cheeky, see if we can get away with a clean sheet with a 4 million goalkeeper on the opening day. If it doesn't work out, we have got Diogo Costa, who is the main starting Portugal goalkeeper, who will come in and replace him if that doesn't work out. Absolutely fine. We've got De Arrascaeta, who is a Uruguayan midfielder playing against Korea. 5.5 million. He is a little bit of a risky one, but we have seen in the World Cup qualifiers him be really the star of the show. He's been on set pieces, he's been scoring goals, he's been getting assists, playing on the wing for Uruguay, and doing very, very well in that position as well. So for 5.5 million, I do feel like if he was to start, he would be an incredible value for money at that price point. He really, really would. But yeah, there is other options. Like if I get more worried about Martinez starting, we could do De Arrascaeta down to De Paul at Argentina, and that would allow us to switch Martinez up to Griezmann as well. We'd be staying within our boundaries of 3 Argentinian players as well, so that would work very well indeed. We've got Cancelo here on the bench as well. That's a pretty nice player against Ghana, the lowest FIFA ranked team in the tournament. I don't actually think Ghana are the weakest team in the tournament, but apparently they are, but there we go. Hopefully Cancelo and Costa are both going to be able to keep easy clean sheets there. But we also do see from Cancelo for Portugal, he can score a couple of goals. He has been known to score goals for Portugal and get assists as well. He's got a couple of goals actually in his last, 5, 6, 7 games for Portugal as well. So it's quite nice to see. Let's see if we can get a few more. Hopefully make good of that 6 million price tag. And finally, we have got Neymar. So I decided in the end, we are going to try and get a Brazilian player in here. I'm a bit of a Neymar fanboy myself, so it kind of made sense to put him in many ways. 10.5 million is a pretty decent price, and again, he is one of the bookies' favourites to score at least 1 goal in match day 1. He's going to be on all set pieces, penalties, free kicks, etc., which is really, really good. And he is the start man of this Brazil team as well. So even though I think the Serbia game is a little bit tricky, I feel like Brazil, the quality of the team that they have, I do think Brazil were probably going to be one of the favourites, if not the favourite, to win this tournament. And Neymar is going to be the guy to get most of the goals, to get most of the assists. He really is an absolute machine for Brazil, and he will be looking to break a few records for Brazil as well. I'm very sure about that. This might be his last tournament at the peak of his powers to be able to do that, so that's quite important to note. So yeah, there you go, guys. That is the bench. And finally, captaincy, guys. So I've put the captain's armband on Messi. Now, I should clarify the rules now. The rules have updated on the website, so do go check out either the World Cup Fantasy website or the World Cup Fantasy app, whatever one you prefer to use. But the rules have updated now, and we do know for sure. I'm so sorry for messing you guys around. Unfortunately, it just wasn't very clear, and everyone was trying to wrap their heads around it. But we understand now. You can have basically one captain switch after your captain has played. Before your captain has played, you can switch it about as much as you want. But we're going to go for Messi as our captain first. If Messi scores loads of points, then fantastic. We leave the captain's armband on Messi. But after that, if Messi doesn't go well, he only gets a few points, then you have one opportunity to switch your captain's armband to another player, as long as that other player has not played yet. And that captain's armband will most likely go to De Bruyne, although I am not against going for Neymar. I feel like De Bruyne against Canada would probably be the way I would put my captain's armband. Maybe bring in Neymar and put the captain's armband on him as well. Those are basically my two options there, really. So start off with Messi. Like I said, very confident about this one. So we're going to go for him as the captain. And finally, a booster. Yes, you guys may have noticed there has been no French players mentioned against Australia. It's a pretty nice fixture, right? Again, I'm sorry, Australians. I know you're watching and I know you're upset with me. But Mbappe against your guys. Oh, surely that's an absolute guaranteed. Unfortunately, you can't captain the player who is in your booster, but because Mbappe is the most expensive player in the game and your 12th man booster player, he can be as expensive as you like. So it makes sense to use him as the booster player. I think a lot of other high-tier FPL managers are doing a similar thing, using their 12-man booster, getting Mbappe in that way against Australia. And that's going to give you a real good opportunity to get some extra points on the side. Maybe Mbappe can score a couple of goals there. We probably have quite a lot of confidence in him ahead of this Australia game. We know he's going to be the main man. We think because Benzema is probably not going to be available for this opening fixture, then Mbappe is therefore going to be on penalties as well. He should get a lot of minutes. He should be taking a lot of shots on and picking up those shots on target points, maybe a couple of them. That would be pretty nice. But overall, I just think he's a fantastic pick. And if it's difficult to get him with your budget and all of the other players that you want in your starting 11, why not get Mbappe as the 12th man, since he's so expensive and you can just get him for free, essentially. So there we go, guys. That is going to be what my team looks like. You may have noticed that this team looks very strong for match day 1, maybe not so strong after. So what I should tell you guys is that I'm actually planning on using the wild card in match day 2. So I only really need to think about match day 1 for my team. So we're going all out, strong players against weaker oppositions. Hopefully pick up a lot of points in this opening fixture. Then, after match day 1 has finished, we've had a good look at all of these players. We've had a look at all the other players. We've identified how teams are setting up, who's likely to start, who's looking good, and then we can use the wildcard to bring in players for match day 2. Now, the other advantage of match day 2, and this is where things get a little bit complicated, because of the strange rules around World Cup Fantasy, it is believed, and it's obviously this is going to be a bit of trial and error, but it is believed that after your players have played, you can actually make transfers. You can continue to make unlimited transfers because your wildcard is active for matchday 2. You can transfer out players who have played for other players who have played, or even if they haven't played, and you can transfer them out, and those transfers will become active from game week 3. So they won't count for game week for match day 2, but they'll be counted towards match day 3, which is really quite complicated. But it basically means that you get a free third wildcard, or second wildcard, I guess, really. You get to have a different team on match day 1, 2, and 3. Now, it is a bit complicated, and maybe I'll try and explain a little bit better on stream, because I don't want this video to go on for too long. But that's the basic principle, that you can continue to make transfers during match day 2, using your wildcard transfers to set yourself up for match day 3. These transfers won't actually apply themselves to your team until match day 2 ends, and I guess Matchday 3 is about to begin. So that's something to note, and that's a really interesting tactic. If you guys are wondering about my third and final booster, the Power Captain, I think I'm going to use that a little bit later on in the tournament. I'm planning on probably using that in the semi-finals round, or maybe Matchday 7, where it has the finals and third place playoffs. But again, I'll save that spiel for another video, because I appreciate we don't want to go too long on here. But there we go, guys. This is what my team is looking at right now. I don't think there'll be too many changes to this now. I think I've got the basic structure down. I've got all the main players I want. There's a couple of players I am kind of umming and erring about a little bit. But again, that is what the bench is for. We've got a strong squad overall, and I'm sure that we can get returns on most of these players, to be honest. I think we're looking pretty good. That's going to be the end of today's video. If you did enjoy what you saw today, please do leave a like, really appreciate it, and do subscribe if you're new around here and you want more World Cup fantasy content throughout the tournament. We are going to be doing a deadline stream. I'm going to be back home for that one, don't worry. We'll be doing a deadline stream for the World Cup deadline, and hopefully get our final questions answered and try and clarify a lot of the rules and stuff like that. So make sure you are joining in on the fun. If you have any questions whatsoever, I will try and answer some in the comment section, but certainly in the stream, I think we'll cover a lot of really important stuff. So make sure you've got notifications on so you know when that stream is going live. Even if you want to turn them back off after the stream, absolutely fine. But yeah, we're going to call it there, guys. Thank you once again for watching this World Cup fantasy content, and I will see you later, mates. Bye-bye.